Today, our discussion is designed to review and explore our approach towards addressing and countering hostile behavior in our schools, including incidents of bullying, hate speech, hate crimes, and assault. The discussion will also highlight the measures which are being taken or can be taken to promote understanding and harmony between students from different races, religions, genders, sexual orientations, and national origins. For some perspective, according to United States Government Accountability Office's November 2021 report on students' experiences with bullying, hate speech, hate crimes, and victimization in schools, students experience a range of hostile behaviors at schools nationwide. About 1 in 5 students aged 12 to 18 were bullied annually in school years 2014 to 15, 2016 to 17, and 2018 to 19. Of students who were bullied in school year 2018 to 19, about 1 in 4 students experienced bullying related to their race, national origin, religion, disability, gender, or sexual orientation. About 1 in 4 of all students aged 12 to 18 saw hate words or symbols written in their schools, such as homophobic slurs and references to lynching. Most hostile behaviors also increased in school year 2017 to 18. Hate crimes, which most commonly targeted students because of their race and national origin, and physical attacks with a weapon nearly doubled. Sexual assaults also increased during the same period. In this context, we intend to get some historical perspective on these issues, look at recent events in our community, and the response of our local civic organizations. Find out about legislative initiatives to address these issues, and inquire about measures being taken or considered by our school administrations to create a safe learning environment for our students. Most importantly, we would like to get the perspective of our students regarding their school environment and what they think can help in addressing these very serious issues.
So, since the commission was reestablished in 2016, we early on began receiving reports of hate and bias incidents. And so that has certainly increased since 2016, as just indicated in our most recent annual report. One of the things that we have consistently, when someone contacts us to talk about a hate or bias incident, the commission, one of the things that's really very important and central to all of the work that we do is to understand what it is the person or that organization is looking to see happen, and then support them in advancing what it is that they're looking to see happen as best as we are able to do. So sometimes if this is something that's been out in the community, we encourage that there be some kind of visible community event or indication that that kind of incident is not welcome in the community. And I'm talking specifically now with COVID, that's been very difficult to do, of course. So prior to COVID, when there was a lot of flyering going on, we would often recommend that there be some kind of visible community response. And it helps to show that there's some type of visible community response because it sends the message that the community is not apathetic, not silenced by fear, and is not in favor of those coming up about what is a hate crime, what exactly is that, We want to know. And so we partnered with the people who are essentially charged with determining whether it's a hate crime or not. That would be law enforcement and the DA's office. So we had a webinar. Ken Roman, you were with the emergency response at the time, the DA's office, the New York State Police, which has a hate crime unit, the Sheriff's Department. So we organized the stakeholders to put on a webinar that could answer the question that we were getting from people in our community.
Thank you. That's a very good question, and Jody alluded to, I believe, the biggest part of why that has happened, not just here locally, but nationally. The fact that a hate incident occurs does not always rise to the occasion of a hate crime. And a hate incident, as offensive as it may be to all of us in the community, needs to be addressed in as Jody mentioned, a response mode, definitely. And I believe the schools have responded appropriately. I believe a lot of community groups have responded appropriately. But unfortunately, when it comes to criminality, the first thing that we need to do is to determine if, in fact, a crime was committed. And unfortunately, something may rise to the level of being very offensive and very negative and hateful and filled with hate speech. And probably everyone in this room would be offended by it, but it doesn't, unfortunately, cross the line to criminality. And for that reason, most often, is why a lot of these cases don't ever go to the step of prosecution. And as Jody alluded to, part of this, what we did, and working with Dr. Rizvi, working with the Sheriff's Office, and obviously the Commission on Human Rights, we developed a program to educate law enforcement, specifically people that were working in the schools. We actually tried to target the school resource officers, and we tried to educate all law enforcement in Dutchess County.
And hostility toward immigrants, however ironic that might be, in a nation founded on immigration, in which almost all of us trace some of our ancestry or all of our ancestry to immigrants, is another important component, as well as, of course, violence based on gender and on sexual orientation. I want to make sure, I very much want to hear from the students who are here today. And so one of the things I wanted to just briefly say before passing the mic along is that that listening to our children and our youth and hearing their voices is so important, and that sometimes that can be part of a response to hate, and that there's an organization that could not be here today, but that has done work in the Arlington district and is seeking to do work county-wide to invite students and anyone in the school district to work on these issues, having students and parents and administrators and youth and students all work together. And they have a panel discussion coming up on the 21st of September on racism and identity in Dutchess County schools. And I brought copies of the flyer for people who might be interested in that event. So I'm going to put them at the table where we checked in, where people came in, so that if you know anyone who might want to participate in that conversation, it's from 6 to 8:30 p.m. On September 21st. And I thought perhaps the best thing I could do today would be to share that, so that people who want to continue the conversation might have a way to do that.
That's such an important question here in Dutchess County. I'd like to begin by saying that I'm also a former public school teacher, so my expertise really is in the classroom. And I also have two young boys who attend public school here in Dutchess County, in the Beacon City School District, in fact. As far as what our legislature is doing, I believe it's incredibly important that we are listening to all of our commissions that we have in place right now. There is a lot more that we need to do county-wide, and I believe that this is something we can do by listening to students. But one of the biggest problems we have in all of our schools that I see time after time, from my time as an educator until my time obviously as a parent as well, speaking to other parents, speaking to other educators, we have a lack of representation in our schools. I am a Latina, proud Boricua, and there were very few fellow Latinas teaching